Hi, welcome back to the bookshelf of timeless classics from the Daily Better, a channel dedicated to sharing personal growth insights through great books. Today, I want to share with you a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. As you may already know, habits are a double-edged sword. The ones you have right now can lead you to a better life, but they can also hold you back over the years. And it's not an exaggeration to say that if you can master your habits, you can master your life. So let's take a moment to reflect. Are you growing a little each day? Or are you still the same person you were last year, with not much having changed? Building and maintaining habits isn't exactly a new topic, and for many, Atomic Habits might already be a familiar title. Before reading this book, I had come across plenty of others about habit formation. Some explored it through the lens of psychology, while others were filled with practical tips and techniques. But what makes Atomic Habits stand out is how the author delivers his ideas with clarity, strong reasoning, and a tone that's both grounded and concise. Most importantly, what struck me the most was this core message: changing yourself means changing your identity. Instead of forcing yourself with sheer willpower to maintain a habit, it's far more effective to transform from the inside out. So, let's dive into this incredibly valuable book together. Live Like a Bamboo Tree. The famous American psychologist William James once said, "Sow an action and you reap a habit. Sow a habit and you reap a character. Sow a character and you reap a destiny." Good habits shape your life. But often, we turn a blind eye to small changes. We ignore them because we convince ourselves that great success requires grand actions. That's why many people overlook the power of small daily improvements. And so, we hesitate again and again. What's even more discouraging is how we tend to lose patience simply because we fail to see the immense potential hidden in these tiny steps. But in truth, these small things are how we build compound growth. In the book, there's a formula. If you improve by just 1% every day for a year, you'll become 37 times better. On the flip side, if you decline by 1% each day, your ability will nearly disappear. Some might dismiss this as mechanical thinking, but I hope you'll set that judgment aside for a moment and try it for yourself. Before we've truly begun changing anything, concluding too early is just another excuse. Small changes can lead to massive results because building habits is how you create compound interest for your life. When we do something, we often romanticize our actions, imagining a smooth upward path because we all crave immediate results. But in reality, building a good habit is more like a curve. At the beginning, that curve actually dips downward. And during that early phase, when the progress feels invisible, it's easy to grow discouraged and wonder if all this effort is even worth it. This downward curve is what we call the Valley of Disappointment. Many people fall into it, then give up halfway. But here's the truth: if you can keep going and push through that critical threshold, results will start to show. That's the nature of any compounding process. The most powerful outcomes always arrive late. Just like in philosophy, there's a law of quantity and quality. When small changes in quantity reach a certain point, they shift into changes in quality. That certain point is the moment you break through the quiet buildup of compounding growth. Forming habits is a lot like growing a bamboo tree. For the first 5 years, no matter how ideal the conditions are, you won't notice any visible growth. But after those 5 years, almost like magic, it begins to grow 30 centimeters a day and can reach up to 27 meters tall in just 6 weeks. Turns out, those 5 years were spent accumulating potential. During that time, the bamboo was driving its roots deep into the ground, preparing for the day it would soar. With that kind of change, how can greatness not follow? So live like a bamboo tree. And always remember, no change is too small to matter. If you focus only on the finish line, you will fail. When all your attention is locked on the result you hope to achieve, it's almost like mentally trapping yourself in a narrow perspective. Every goal carries with it an unspoken belief: Once I reach this, I'll be happy. That mindset is like a chain, it delays your joy. Only when I achieve this will I allow myself to be happy. But when you finally get there, chances are you won't feel the happiness you expected. Instead, you might be met with an odd sense of emptiness. That's because the moment you reach one milestone, your mind immediately starts chasing the next. When you're laser focused on a specific goal, your motivation becomes, I have to get there, no matter what. And yes, that drive will push you forward. But once you've crossed that finish line, that fire inside you often fades. That's why so many people slip back into their old routines the moment they accomplish a goal. You have to remember, building habits shouldn't be about aiming to win a goal, it's about creating a system of habits that grow gradually and consistently over time. How to build that kind of system? I'll go into more detail in the next part. But first, you need to let go of the results-driven mindset when practicing any habit. The best way to stay mentally strong is to focus on the process, on the present moment. You don't need to save happiness for later. You don't need to imagine a future success story in order to feel satisfied right now. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment to give yourself permission to be happy. Instead, you can truly feel joy right now, in the very act of maintaining the habit. And this mindset will make it so much easier for you to stay steady and resilient along the way. The secret to maintaining a habit lies in understanding your identity. According to research, behind every system of actions is a system of beliefs and behaviors that don't align with your identity won't last. What does this mean? You need to pay close attention to the words identity and belief. Your beliefs and the identity you hold within yourself play a powerful role in shaping your behavior. Before you try to do something, let your belief become who you are. That is to say, before forming a habit, you must first ask yourself who you want to become. Who you believe you are will determine how you act. The stronger your belief, the more consistently your actions will follow. And the more consistently you act, the more your belief gets reinforced and your sense of identity becomes clearer. This is a cycle of growth that is both sustainable and transformative. It keeps you evolving, and it can lead you to change your own destiny. Here's an example. If you want to maintain a running habit, you must first identify yourself as an athlete. If you want to read more and write books or create content, then you must see yourself as a creative person. If you don't know who you are before you act, your efforts will likely fizzle out or feel like an uphill battle. So remember, habits are an expression of who you are. You must understand yourself first, know who you want to become, and then, grounded in the belief of who you are, build a habit system that shapes the life and self you truly want. Let's flip our perspective for a moment to see something important. We need to stop labeling ourselves or others. Take this common example. Parents often want their children to be diligent and self-disciplined. But when they see them watching TV or playing games, they shout, "Why are you so lazy?" These labels, lazy, careless, irresponsible, can act like self-fulfilling prophecies. If you repeat these labels enough, they may come true. The basic logic behind forming a habit. This logic is also explored in the book The Power of Habit. Before taking action, we need to understand how a habit actually works. This isn't just a piece of knowledge, it's a way to uncover the deeper roots of how habits take shape. So, what exactly are the 4 steps? They are cue, craving, response, and reward. Let's look at an example. When you hear the notification sound of a Facebook message, that sound is the cue, a signal that grabs your attention. As soon as you hear it, you feel a strong urge to find out who messaged you and why. That's craving. You then reach for your phone and open the message. That's your response. Finally, you read the message, find out who was trying to contact you and what they wanted to say. That sense of satisfaction is your reward. Now take a moment to reflect. Can you see how nearly every action in your daily life follows this exact 4-step habit loop? Whether it's putting on clothes, wearing shoes, turning on a light, brushing your teeth, or reaching for a snack, it's all rooted in this same pattern. That's what makes it so powerful and a little scary. Once this loop is activated, it's hard to stop. For instance, you tell yourself, I'll read 20 pages when I get home. But the moment you sit on the sofa, you instinctively grab your phone. Then you lie back, turn on the cool air. Next thing, you open Facebook, then comes TikTok. Before you know it, the entire evening is gone. All of these actions are part of a chain, an automatic habit loop you've already built. It requires no thought. You just follow it without even realizing. That's why it's so important to understand how a habit functions. Only then can you begin to break bad ones and take intentional steps toward building better ones. So, how exactly do you take those intentional steps? Let's explore the 4 steps to maintaining a habit. The first step is, make it obvious. In reality, our strongest sense is vision. It accounts for up to 90% of our total sensory input. If you can fully leverage the power of visual cues, you can effectively activate the cue phase of a habit. Let's say you want to build a reading habit. But if your books are always stacked in a dusty corner and only show up when you go looking for them, how could that habit ever take root? To make a habit part of your daily life, it has to show up in your environment often and clearly. For example, I keep books everywhere they can be easily seen and reached: on the sofa, on the TV stand, on the nightstand, at my desk, on the bookshelf, anywhere near eye level. I also carry a small book in my backpack, so whenever I have a spare moment, it's right there, ready to be opened. This same principle applies when trying to break a bad habit. You need to remove the triggers that spark it. For instance, let's say you tend to crave snacks in the afternoon, especially if you work an office job. Instead of grabbing chips, sugary treats, or bubble tea, try placing fruit or healthy nuts where they're easy to see and reach. They'll refuel your body while helping you stay in shape and protect your health. No more junk food in sight. No more easy access to your gaming setup. No more addictive apps just a click away. When the visual reminders fade, the behaviors they trigger become harder to activate. And just like that, bad habits begin to lose their grip. The second step is, make it irresistible. Here, there's a powerful formula that can drive you to stick with a good habit. Habit stacking combined with temptation bundling. Habit stacking goes like this. After my current habit, I will do the habit I want to build. For example, after taking off your work clothes, you put on your sneakers and head to the gym. Or, after finishing your cup of coffee, you read for an hour. As for temptation bundling, it means, while doing the habit I need, I'll pair it with something I enjoy. This is a trick I use all the time because honestly, I'm lazy when it comes to journaling. But I love taking photos. So, every day I snap pictures of anything beautiful, interesting, or fun that catches my eye. Then I write a few lines to go along with the photo. It adds color to my memories, and that's how I've managed to enjoy both habits at once. In this case, journaling is the habit I need to build, while photography is the habit I want to do. In psychology, this method is known as temptation bundling. It's based on a principle by Professor David Premack, using high-frequency behaviors to reinforce low-frequency ones. This strategy makes habit building feel more enjoyable and easier to stick with. Now, what if you're struggling with strong cravings or find it hard to control your impulses? The answer is this: harness the power of the group. Tap into the memory embedded in our genetic code. Human ancestors couldn't survive alone. Whether facing wild animals or natural disasters, they always needed their tribe nearby to feel safe and supported. In the book The Soccer Tribe, which I mentioned before, this deep-rooted need for connection is part of who we are. So use that to your advantage. Let the group carry you forward and help you break bad habits. For instance, join a running club, a shared interest group, or a training class. If you skip sessions, you might get called out or even removed from the group. And for many people, avoiding that discomfort is enough to keep them engaged and committed. All right, now let's move on to step number 3. The third step in transforming a habit is make it easy. The core principle here is simple: reduce friction. Let's say you want to stay consistent with going to the gym. Don't waste time comparing which gym has cheaper rates, better equipment, or nicer personal trainers. Just pick the one closest to your house, the one you can actually get to easily. Lower the resistance between you and your actions by optimizing your environment. Another helpful strategy: apply the 2-minute rule from the very beginning. You have to understand that in life, there are key moments, tiny decisions that shape your future in big ways. Moments like deciding whether to cook dinner or order takeout, to bike or drive to work, to scroll through your phone or pick up a book. These aren't grand, dramatic crossroads, they're small choices. But over time, they become turning points. Whether your day turns out great or not often depends on a chain of these small decisions. If you can fill your day with more of the right moments, the outcome of your life will eventually change. That's why the author advises us, when starting a new habit, make sure it doesn't take more than 2 minutes to begin. This prevents overwhelm and helps you stay consistent. Instead of forcing yourself to read every night before bed, start with read just 1 or 2 pages. The idea behind the 2-minute rule is this: no matter what, always take that first tiny step. Sticking with a habit is hard, but when the beginning is easy, the next steps often flow naturally. A small, humble action can be incredibly powerful. You need to believe this. Once you start doing the right thing, everything becomes much easier. And on the flip side, if you want to break a bad habit, then you need to create friction. Can't stop checking your phone? Delete the apps that waste your time. Can't stop gaming? Make it really inconvenient to open the game in the first place. Make the right habits easy. Make the wrong ones hard. The final step in transforming a habit is make it enjoyable. We need to understand why bad habits are so hard to break, because they always offer a hit of instant pleasure. When you play a game, you feel a rush of accomplishment every time you beat a level. When you eat sweets, your cravings are instantly satisfied. But our brains tend to downplay long-term threats, just like the frog slowly boiling in water, unaware that it's in danger because the heat rises gradually. Bad habits feel great in the moment but come with painful consequences later. Good habits, on the other hand, often work in reverse. That's why you have to be cautious with anything that gives you instant gratification. The sooner it feels good, the more important it is to ask, will this benefit me in the long run? To make good habits more appealing, all you need to do is add a little immediate joy to any habit that serves your long-term well-being. And the reverse is true, to add discomfort to bad habits so they're less tempting. One simple way to add that instant satisfaction is to track your habits. It's easy. Put up a habit tracker somewhere you'll see every day. Mark it off every time you successfully follow through. This small act is actually a mental reward. It keeps you motivated and moving forward. But here, I want to emphasize 2 important things. First, struggle through persistence rather than give up. No matter what, don't quit, because if you keep going, even if it's tough, you still have a chance to stay aligned with your identity. Remember this: skipping a habit twice in a row is the start of a new bad habit. Second, don't let the measurement become the goal. There's a famous principle in management: when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. For example, if a company focuses only on KPIs, employees may only try to hit the numbers without actually improving the work itself. If you're just ticking boxes to complete a habit tracker, it loses its meaning. Tracking is just the beginning, a tool to help you build better habits. But don't live for the tracker, and don't live only for the goal. Those were the 4 essential steps to building good habits and breaking bad ones. Overall, I feel this summary of the book gives a pretty full picture, But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few important takeaways I've drawn from reading Atomic Habits. First, this book emphasizes something crucial. Forming habits is about daily accumulation, about building compound interest, about investing your time with consistency. But the time we have is limited. So how do we know we're investing it wisely and in the right habits? That's where the differences between each person come into play. We all walk our own path. Your first job is to figure out what you're good at, what area of your life truly needs improvement and transformation. The book offers a helpful answer. Do the things you find interesting that others find boring. The real sign that something is meant for you isn't just that you like it, but that you can endure the hard parts of it more easily than most people. What drains others doesn't bother you. What makes others quit, you actually enjoy. That's your advantage. Second, don't become too dependent on habits. Yes, you read that right habits can have their own traps. The truth is, when something becomes too automatic, it can also become dull. If someone is stuck in the same daily rhythm, all they do is repeat 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 on autopilot. Over-relying on habits might actually stop you from breaking through. So how do we avoid that? The answer is, don't expect your habits to follow a straight line. Expect a curve, then another curve, and another one. You have to practice with intention. And if you're interested, I'll make another video just about the method of deliberate practice because it's worth exploring deeply. At the highest level, deliberate practice can help you reach a state of flow. But flow isn't a habit. Flow is what happens when you focus completely, give your full self to the process of building a meaningful habit, and then master it. And to get there, you need to intentionally push yourself to grow, to go deeper. That's how mastery is born. Finally, something I've come to realize, we need to regularly reflect on ourselves and not let our identity hold us hostage. You see, earlier we talked about how important belief and identity are in forming habits. But if you rely too much on that identity, it can become a prison. When things don't go as expected, you might feel lost, disappointed, even defeated. So here's my closing thought for today's video. These small habits, they don't just add up. They multiply. They compound. They stack on top of each other, and in the end, they can completely transform your life. Once you build one good habit, it tends to pull other positive habits along with it. For me, reading started it all. Once I made that a habit, so much in my life changed. It's had a massive impact on me. If you can find one meaningful starting point, commit to it. Let it lead you forward. Let it reshape your life. That would be something powerful and something you can absolutely trust. Wishing all of us success in discovering that leverage point and using habit-building systems as a tool to live a life of deeper meaning. After exploring the 6 common types of addiction, you might come to a profound realization. The way we've been chasing happiness all along might have been entirely misguided. From Buddhism to modern psychology, all schools of thought seem to echo the same wake-up call. Stop running after false happiness. This entire book revolves around a single powerful message. Practice mindfulness and anchor yourself fully in the present moment. But here comes the deeper question. How can we truly be mindful and fully present? The first thing the author recommends is this: combine 2 flames, mindfulness and interest. When these 2 meet, a fire is sparked and the mind naturally becomes focused. It's a beautifully simple insight into how mindfulness can be practiced. Now, think for a second. When do we find it the hardest to concentrate? It's when the mind is restless and anxious, when you crave something you don't yet have. This sensation can stimulate the mind, and we often mistake it for joy. For example, imagine your boss gives you a surprise $1,000 bonus after a month of hard work. You'll definitely feel thrilled and excited, but behind that joy is an urge. I want more. You might think, this time it's $1,000, next time I should aim for $2,000. Or, I'm better than others, I'll keep pushing to stay on top. All of these thoughts are really just attempts to maintain a superior image in the eyes of your boss and others. That's the aftermath of what the book calls excitement-driven pleasure. In contrast, there's another kind of joy, one that stems from curiosity. This kind of joy brings peace and depth. Here, curiosity isn't about prying into other people's lives. It's about turning inward, being curious about yourself, about what you're doing in this very moment. Leonardo da Vinci, even in the final years of his life, kept refining his paintings. He continued studying the structure of a woodpecker's tongue, not out of competition, but because curiosity pulled him forward. Now, let's come back to everyday life. Whether you're studying, working, traveling, or even just eating, if you approach it with curiosity, everything becomes richer, more meaningful. You'll start asking, how can this be more fulfilling? What's the best way to do this? When your mind is driven by curiosity, you feel joyful and at ease in all that you do. And most importantly, this kind of joy never betrays you. It helps you stay naturally focused without ever needing to force yourself. Thank you for listening to The Daily Better, a channel dedicated to sharing personal growth insights through great books. If you found today's video helpful, please share it with someone who might need it. Support us by clicking like, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss our weekly uploads. And if you have any thoughts or feelings to share, drop them in the comments below. Thank you, goodbye, and see you in the next video.